do for your entire life.
I would love to. It's I have friends with horses, professional trainers, rescuers, but it's an expensive hobby. And I don't even own land. I rent it.
Right. Well, in case you're like, you started, I had a different woman who had never ridden before when she was 70 and started her riding. Yeah, because, well,
English or Western?
English, it doesn't really make an awful lot of difference. I teach English because it's more versatile.
Yeah.
But the thing being, my real project is that riding at the entry level is very badly taught because
It is, I agree.
Okay, therapeutic riding. The reason they have therapeutic riding is because the movement of the horse under your seat bones is identical to yours. He wants to run, he's going to run. I once saw the best rider in the country get run away with for a quarter of a mile because his horse got carried across. You can't control a horse.
I've worked with some old rescue thoroughbreds in my younger years, and it's a relationship always. It's something, I mean, sure, body mechanics come into it, but it's something in how you would do it.
Exactly. Most people think that the rules of riding are sit up straight, heels down, hands like this. The first rule is to develop a relationship based on caring and trust.
Yeah, it's sort of a core thing.
Yeah. It's like, well, Bill Steinkraus, who again was one of our top riders, we watched him in a show once, and he had this horse, and where they jump, what they call a puissance, the jumps keep getting higher. And so they got down to the last round, and he and one other horse made it over the fence, but the horse he was on looked like it just barely made it over this fence. So then they raised the fence, another 6 inches, and we're all, those of us who are professionals are sitting there saying, no way is that horse going to be able to get over is he going to get over that fence? So he comes back in the ring, and the horse, he rides him down the fence. He's not doing anything. He's not pushing or getting angry. He's not doing anything. He's just telling the horse to keep going. And the horse got, by the skin of his teeth, but he cleared the fence. And I asked him afterward, what did you do? How did you get him to jump that? And he said, when I work with a horse, when I train a horse, I try not to ever ask him to do anything that I'm not pretty darn sure he can do. So if I say, I think you can do it, he trusts me.
I need a trainer. For that kind of confidence building.
Yeah, well that's...
But yeah, horses are prey animals. They need a lot of support.
Yeah.
I've been around them a lot, but not in the normal sense. Like I'm usually farming or gardening, and they're just there, and I talk to them, and sometimes feed them.
Which is a nice relationship to have. I've known people that's the relationship they want.
Not lately. That's why I've been curious about your talk, because I know there are places around here where you can be around horses, but not have to own them or...
Well, there's people, it depends on what you mean by being around. I know there's a rescue place up in Newfane.
I called one place about volunteering, a therapeutic place.
Yeah.
I've never done the work, I've always just been curious. And it can vary place to place.
Well, because everybody depends on who's doing it.
Yeah.
But that is, one person leads the horse and then one person on each side is helping the rider to stay centered.
Okay.
That's what that usually is.
Yeah.
I would think that if you could, they have that donkey rescue week.
In New Hampshire?
Yeah.
CAS.
Yeah.
I've looked online. That's the longer...
Well, donkeys are equine, donkeys and zebras and horses, and there's one other.
Yeah.
It looks like a horse, but it's not quite the same thing as our horses.
Mule?
No, mule is a donkey and is a cross between a donkey and a mare.
Okay.
A male donkey and a female horse.
Okay.
But they're all equine, so that although the zebras not being domesticated are difficult, but the horse is the most suited for riding because of the shape of his shape.
Yeah, I don't see people riding donkeys too much. It's more of a pack.
We used to ride donkeys when I was a kid. We had
Well,
donkeys.
small
Some donkeys can be pretty big.
Yeah.
We had some big donkeys. Like we had one big donkey, but
I love them.
they're all cute. But if what you wanted was just to be the ground relationship on a horse, then I think you could go to a,
Well, I probably don't ride because of the expense, to be honest.
right. Well,
Because I have friends that's their life, and I see all that goes into it, and I'm like,
what you need is to find a friend who's got 2 horses and wants somebody to ride with.
I have a friend that has more than 2, but they all have particulars about them. And she thinks I don't have enough experience.
Well,
It's an attitude, I think.
yeah, I can see that, but the problem is that people like that are thinking in terms of they don't. It's the way the horse is trained. I used to use in my barn the way the horses and the riders are supervised, so that you don't ask the riders to do things that they're not ready to do, and you don't ask the horse for things that he's not ready to do.
Well, all I really want to do is I'm not interested in dressage or jumping, just simple trailing riding.
You know what you might be able to do? I don't know whether it would work or not.
And I don't want to distract you from your
No, I'm talking, it's whatever you want to know.
Oh,
Okay, I don't give an official talk, I talk about whatever you want to hear.
okay.
But before you leave, if you give me your name and number, one of my friends has a stable, and the way we start people, we don't give them the saddle and the bridle and the stirrups and put them on the horse and give them the reins and the stick and say, okay, now go ride.
No.
We put them on bareback and we keep them on a lead.
I've never ridden bareback and always wanted to.
Yeah, well, one of the problems about the saddle, just drifting off a little bit, the stirrups, first place the saddle has to fit you, and most instructors, they have the saddle fit the horse, and if it doesn't fit you, then you can't ride, because you have to have your...
It's true.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
Put your chair back a little bit. Okay, now put your feet out in front of you. Now try and stand up. Yeah, you got to really...
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, well that's what posting is. So if your feet, now bring your feet back underneath you and do it again.
Yeah.
Nothing to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if the saddle...
More leverage.
No, it's just you're getting your center over your feet.
Yep.
That's the way you normally get out of a chair, is you get your center over your feet, and then you lean. Do that by bringing your feet back and leaning forward so your center's over here, and you stand up. Nothing to it. But
yeah, it's been eons since I've had any lessons.
But in the saddle, because the stirrups swing, unless they're hung correctly on the saddle for your proportions,
Yeah.
you can't do it. So and the other problem is that when you first start learning to ride, and this is the thing that it only took me 60 years to figure out, that when you first are put up on the horse, your body, don't forget, you can't control your reflexes. You literally have no control over them, except by going through your body. But you can't say, oh, get over it, which is what a lot of riders teachers will say, oh, get over it. You can't. So when you get up there, your reflex looks around and says, oh my goodness, I'm 8 feet in the air and I don't see any way to get down. So and it goes this way and it clamps here, and then you can't ride. Because if you are moving and you clamp, you can't move. As soon as you clamp here, you can't move. So you can't follow the horse. So you can't, and that's where most riding goes wrong, is right there. Because they try to get them, they try to put stirrups and all this stuff. You can't use stirrups until your legs are relaxed. You can't relax your legs until you found your center, and so on. So, as I
And
say,
I always try to tune in a little with the horse. If I don't know the horse that
well, yeah, but that's groundwork. You know,
Okay.
it's when you, first thing that you learn to do is to learn how to approach a horse and how to introduce yourself to him and be around him and groom him and just so that he gets comfortable with you and finds out that you're not going to bite him. And vice versa.
Yeah.
And although, because horses are not predators, unless they've been very badly handled,
Yeah.
it doesn't take much. But so anyway, so in the first lesson, I show the horses. I show the student some exercises to help them so that they can, because you can change your reflex by changing what your body's doing. So if your body's going this way, then your body is telling the rest of you that you're scared. If your body is this way, then it's like, oh, okay, I'm cool.
Okay.
So I show them some exercises to first to say, you know, how to use their body to stay cool. And then I show them the horse and show them how you introduce yourself to the horse. And then I take them over and I protect them from the horse because, you know, how they put the hand up the horse, then the horse reaches out and they pull back because that's their reflex. So I'm protecting them.
No, they see and experience things very differently than we do.
Well, it's not the horse that's being scared, it's the person that's scared. The person reaches their hand out.
It's an interaction between the central nervous system.
Yeah,
So
but the student puts his hand out and we're talking about horses used to people.
right,
So it's
and
used to
a
having-
person that's not used to horses, that sounds
Yeah, exactly.
like freezing.
Exactly. So we're talking about somebody who's...
reptilian.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that they're being, so that in the beginning, I'm protecting them from the horse until they get comfortable around him, which is, you know, it can take a while. I wouldn't put them in the stall with the horse alone and say, okay, go groom the horse. So then, after they've spent a half an hour on the ground, they learn how to work around the horse and how to, I don't usually have them walk around behind the horse the first time, but walking around the horse and putting their hands on him and moving their hands around where they stand and so forth. And then we take the horse, who just has a halter on, and we show them how to stand with their hands, one hand on the mane, one hand on the withers, and you give them a little leg up this far, because when you're coming off a horse, your body says it's 8 feet, but actually when you slide down, by the time you have to let go, it's about maybe 10 inches depending on the size of the horse. Because you're sliding down, you don't just jump from here. You swing your leg over, and you slide down, and then, as I say, when you sort of reach the end of your slide, you're usually about this far from the ground, so it's not far at all. So what I do is I show their body that, and then we have them do it twice. And I don't know whether you looked at the picture that was out front of the young girls. There was a picture, I don't know.
I
saying
might
that
have missed it.
It's on that side, but look at it when you go out, because I used her purposely because her father said she was terrified of everything. And her mother had offered her, she was going to riding to a stable with a friend of hers, and her mother said, you can take lessons if you want to. No, I don't want, I just like the horse, but I don't want to take any lessons. So she was terrified. And I gave her this setup, and then the next time she came, I put her on the horse, and that's a picture of her the second time. The first time she was on a horse to stay, because on that first thing, they get on, they're immediately coming off. They don't even sit
That's
up there.
wonderful. Yeah.
But anyway, if you look at the picture, I put it on the internet and asked horse people about how long they thought she'd been riding, and the shortest time I got was 2 months, and she'd been riding for about 10 minutes.
Yeah, great.
So,
It must have made her feel pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Well, I've been intimidated by my serious coursing friends for many years, but I have a different take on it.
yeah, well, and I think your take is better than theirs.
I don't know. Like my mom's a big horse person. I think there's a lot of control for people that get into horses.
I mean, yes,
No,
yes.
but I
I'm saying what you're saying, but
But
that's,
I don't agree with that.
but that's actually the whole direction that horseback riding is taking for a lot of people is exactly what you're saying, that, and what we're talking about, that you build a relationship based on mutual trust, not one of, well, you got to be the boss, you got to tell them, you don't let them get away with that whole routine, which is so.
No, I've been around a lot.
Yeah, well,
And
that's-
I never agree.
Well, you were right. It took me longer than that because it took
Yeah,
me.
but I haven't owned a horse either. I've just been around in the local community.
But I remember going, and it really sort of made me want to throw up, to be honest. I was at another stable for a clinic that I was taking, a center riding clinic. And I was getting into horse racing. I was going to ride, and this little girl, maybe 10 or 11, comes in to get the horse next door, who is a very tall horse. And she reaches up, put the bridle on the horse, puts his head up. And she tries a couple times, and he still puts his head up. So she goes out, and she comes back with another girl, maybe a little bit older. And the other girl walks in, bang, bang, bang. The horse like this, yanks him around, and then puts the bridle on. I thought, if that's what you're being taught.
It's horrible, yeah. But that's nothing compared to a lot of horse abuse and
Oh, I know.
jockey.
I know. It's very, very sad because if you treat people like that, they don't like it very much, and they'll get back to you on you if you can, and that's why. I mean, nobody should ever be thrown from a horse, except thrown deliberately to get rid of them. I mean, you can fall because the horse spooks at something, and you're not, But even that, I always love this story, but I had a group of women that had ridden, at other places where they were kind of pushed along and so on. And they were, when I first got them, they were very timid and unsure of themselves, and their seats were very weak, and we worked with them for a while. And they were in their 30s and 40s. And so a year or so later, we were out on the trail, and I had one of my assistants as a lead, and then they put the 4 ladies on their horses, and me at the end, so I could see what was happening. And something like a pheasant or something flew up out of a bush, and the first horse did a spook and spin, and all the other horses, including mine, did the same thing. And I thought, oh boy. But I swung my horse around and came back again. And I looked, and there were all the ladies, they hadn't been, their bodies knew what to do. And they just followed the horses around, and there they were picking up the reins, and the horses were looking very embarrassed, and we continued on our ride.
Wow.
But I thought, if I can teach people like that, then anybody can learn it again correctly, because they were, as I say, when I first came, they were so timid. The other thing that I teach everybody, I remember I said that the first thing I do is teach the person to get off, that they can get off safely, and then we practice that on a regular basis so that, well, I've saved myself from serious injury, really serious injury, just by developing a reflex that when you're in trouble, don't jackass around, get off your horse. If he's really having a hissy fit or really having a panic, get off. Because on the ground, if the worst that can happen is you have to let him go. But then walk home. But if he gets thrown, if you stay on him and he throws you, which if he's really panicky, he will, or take off with something, you're in real trouble. So the last time I used it was about, I'm 84.
Wow.
And the last time I used it was about 4 months ago, when I was helping a friend of mine with a horse that he'd had a situation with her. Apparently he had gotten cast, stuck in his stall and wrenched his back, and nobody knew it because you couldn't tell,
Oh, I'm amazed at what some horses do to themselves
Well,
in
he-
a stall.
Yeah, well, if they get a leg caught, they start touching around. So anyway, apparently he had done something like that. And they brought him out for his regular lesson with his regular student, and they put the student on, and when he felt the pain in his back, probably like sciatica,
Yeah.
he just bolted and took
Nerve
off.
joints.
You know, it really hurt him. So we were trying to, they had his back adjusted by the chiropractor, and he was all well. Now we were trying to get him over that reflex fear.
Yeah.
So we're working with him, and the owner is standing on the ground and talking to him, and I'm standing up on a mounting block and getting him, you know, reaching over him and stroking him and so forth. So she says, I think you can try getting on him now. So I swung onto him, and he immediately started to bolt, and I was back safely on the ground before he had taken a full stride. I mean, no recollection of doing it. I was up here and then I was down there.
Okay.
But you build in that reflex,
Yeah.
and
That's a good reflex.
yeah. Well, there again, I had another student. I mean, I've done it all my life because my brother and I used to jump off our ponies and all that.
Right.
And I had another student that was another timid one that had been frightened a little bit, and she had this horse. She was fairly small, and her horse was fairly tall. He's about 16 hands. And she's riding him in the ring, and I don't know what happened. Something that the horse started to spook, and boy, she was up on the ground like that on her feet. And I thought, if she can learn to do it, anybody can.
That's cool.
So it does.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people have fear. I think it's mostly the size, or they just haven't been around horses so long.
Well, there's a lot of factors there, and
Yeah.
part of it is, you know, something. And as I said, because people are so often started badly, that they do have. Well,
No, I agree. You know, I remember even before I could ride, I had to clean stables, a lot of them. And learn from the bottom up, you know. But it's also long ago that I think if I was going to start now at 59, I'd want to just reorient
you know, you
myself
could reorient your
completely.
body.
Yeah, and my body is very different now because I've had Lyme,
Yeah.
chronic issues, and I'm getting better after a few years of treatment. But I'm sure horses can identify with that because they go through hell with Lyme sometimes.
They do.
So where are you located?
Well, I don't have a stable anymore.
Oh,
Well,
that must be good in some ways.
well, yeah, because I retired from really full-time teaching in the 90s, and then I just taught part-time, and then I came up here and did some teaching. But mostly I work with instructors now. I know what I was going to say to you. We were talking about falls. For every 7,000 motorcycle rides, there's one serious accident. For every 650 horseback rides, there's one serious accident.
Huh.
So
Didn't
7,000.
know that.
Well, that's something I got off my American Riding Instructors magazine.
Yeah.
But that's. I don't think they would have put it out there if it wasn't true. And
And of course, if you're competition riding and training all the time, there's
no,
more
it's
of
just
a-
nearly all in the novice level, not in the advanced level.
I know
Because
a
people-
lot of advanced people that have
Yeah, but
injury, but they're probably pushing it.
this is over the number of rides. I mean, for most of considering the number of times they're riding, the ratio is fairly small.
Yeah.
And it's usually could be pushing it, or it could be the pushing it was always pushing it in some way. And of course, the majority of those falls are at the novice level because they're asked to do more than they're ready to do, and they make the horses uncomfortable, and they're supposed to control the horse, and the horse is not
Whoops.
away. And
So do you do some riding yourself now? Or?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I can. As I said, that one thing about riding is you don't get too old. I can get on a horse today, without any trouble. The reason people took up riding is because it's easier than walking.
Oh my God.
It is.
Walk too much.
What?
I mean, walking, it doesn't sound strenuous, but it is.
But if you had to walk, if you had to walk 20 miles, or had a choice of walking or riding a horse for 20 miles.
I sometimes joke around with people when I shop at the co-op that I gotta go get my dog food.
Yeah.
Because you can only carry so much
Right.
for certain distances without suffering later.
But
Do you miss it sometimes, though? Just being
I miss the teaching, but
with them?
it took me a long time to figure this one out, that I'm a teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And I teach horseback riding because that's what I know, what I am as a teacher. And what I miss is the teaching, not, I like horses, I'm fond of them, but I don't miss having, I don't need to have a horse.
Okay.
Because I do a lot of teaching on the internet
Mm-hmm.
and
Interesting.
in my books and so forth. So
Yeah.
I don't have a need to have a horse because to me that's not what it's about. It's accepting insofar as I want to teach in a way that is nice for the horse too, because if you ride well, horses like to be ridden.
Yeah.
They like to go out. I mean, it's a partnership thing. I remember a horse I had that a man that used to ride me, he'd come over and he'd get on this horse, and the horse liked to ride on the trail. So they'd go out and they could see the expression, "Oh boy, we're going out on the trail, and George and I are going out on the trail, what fun." You could just see the horse was having a great time.
Yeah, like you take your dog for a walk.
Right.
Play with your cat. Yeah. It is a relationship. Yeah.
It is a
I
relationship.
truly love them. But yeah, I couldn't.
They're very easy animals to love if you spend time with them because they are very caring.
I've had some.
And they return they return it.
I love their messages and stuff.
There's speaking of messages, this is a little off topic, but a friend of mine has written a book, and I can't think of the name of either one of them at this point, but we went to see, she did a clinic that we went to watch, and what she did over a period of time was to watch horses and see how they actually communicated, and she found that the horse had sort of places on his body that were trigger points for, the horse would nudge another horse in a certain place or look at a certain place, you'd get a certain response. We get the email thing going. I can email you the name of that book because I think you'd like it.
Yeah.
That would be very much in your field.
Who knows? Could be.
With any luck, I might even remember it before the day goes by.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
But it was really interesting in seeing. Then she had the people that were in the clinic go out and point to a certain part of one of her trigger points and see the horse respond in the way that another horse would, the way the horse would respond to another horse.
So she researched it and then she
she did a lot of it. I think she spent 3 or 4 years at least researching it. It wasn't just something that she thought that she researched it and experimented with it and so on.
So there might be certain things that are universally amongst most
and these are all
horses.
universal. I mean,
Yes.
this is, it's like.
What about when they twist their tongue? Like, Somebody told me that was a sign of affection, but I thought, no, maybe he's thirsty.
I don't know, it could also be that they just aren't having their teeth taken care of properly. That would, to
What
me,
about
would be
the,
fine.
when they're standing and you're talking with them?
They're bored.
Ah,
I want to go out.
there you go.
We're gonna stand here all day, or we're gonna go out and do
We're gonna
something.
do something. So you want my name, email?
In your email.
Is this your name, Gincy?
No,
No. Okay, that's somebody else, right?
no, that's me.
Okay.
My name is, that was my name when I was writing books. It's Bunker now, but it's,
Okay. That's a
well, those are
nice
my
picture.
books.
Yeah. Okay,
So. But yeah, anybody can ride. And I think not only is age not a factor, but the woman who started therapeutic riding was a Danish woman who won two gold medals in the Olympics, one in 52 and one in 56, and she was almost a quadriplegic. So obviously there's no strength involved here, and she
which
again,
is
obviously
contrary to what a lot of horse trainers
Well,
tell you.
yeah, but how much could you do? The horse has got more muscle in his neck than you've got in your whole body. That whole concept of, I mean, you can use it up to a certain extent. You can use pain and so on, but it just makes it harder for the horse.
So, you know, I think the same with most animals that I work with, that they're individuals and they need certain basic needs met, but it's a lot about attention and nurturing.
Of course it is, just like anybody else.
Yeah.
And
So this is my name and email,
Good.
and
thank you.
you were gonna give me some info about somebody, but here.
Yeah, I'm just gonna write it.
Soon anyway.
I understand, don't miss the train.
It's always late, but I still
never know.
try to get there when they say they're gonna be there. But
And
I
you were
could
going-
probably ride a horse faster to Greenfield before the train. I just couldn't get a ride
No,
into
it's you certainly have the right attitude. And that well, a lot of people come in with this whole idea. I mean, and when I first started riding, and my mother was a very kind. She was a wonderful person with horses and very kind. But the thing was, you know, you have to be the boss and don't let him get away with that and da.
Yeah.
And she didn't do it that way herself, but it took her, I don't think she ever really realized that she wasn't, that what she was teaching us, because it took me a long time. I took over the place, and it took me a long time to realize that
Not the only way.
it doesn't work. Not that it's not the only way. It really accepting in the sense that I was doing. I'll give you one more story, and then you can go catch your
Okay.
train. I was dealing with a young horse, and we had him on the cross ties. I was grooming him, and he kind of went this way with one foot, and I didn't pay attention. And then he did a little bit more, and I didn't pay any attention. And I was standing a little bit. There's a thing that horses do. It's called striking, where they'll reach out with the front foot, and it's a game. And the problem with horses is they don't understand you're not another horse. So a thing that another horse could deal with, in terms of reflexes and so forth, a human can't. Most of the time when you get hurt, it's because the horse didn't know any better. He thought he didn't understand that. So anyway, so he did it once, and I ignored it, and he did it once. And then he really started to strike, and when he struck, I went that way on his neck. I didn't hurt him, it just made a loud clap like that, and he looked at me and said, "Oh, you don't want to do that." I said, "No," but he never did it again. Because I wasn't angry, I just gave him like what another horse would do. Okay, one more quick one. New horse, great big horse. Had never been with other horses, didn't know how to behave. One of the older horses sort of took him under his wing, and they were playing together. And the other horse was much smaller, so every time this big horse would do something rough, the other horse would squeal and turn his back and say, "I'm not going to play with you anymore," and walk away. And the other horse would stand there really sad. And then after a while, the older horse would come back to him, and they'd start again. But he was teaching him, if you're gonna play rough, I'm not gonna play with you anymore. So there. Yeah. And he learned, and he turned out to be, he gentled him and made him very nice.
Awesome.
Okay, now you can go.
Yeah.
You can go catch
No,
your train.
thank you so much, Gincy.
Gincy. I think Jenny, Nancy, put them together.
Gincy and Gincy. Yeah.
Nickname for Virginia.
And I know you're here every once in a while. So.
Once a month,
Oh.
whenever they happen to schedule them.
I'm with a group called Edible Brattleboro.
What?
Edible Brattleboro.
Edible Brattleboro?
Yeah.
Oh, great.
And we grow food around town in gardens, and then we have something now called Share the Harvest, where we offer.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And Brattleboro Town Tree.
Good. Nice of you to drop in.
Thanks.
Have a good trip back.
I'm not going to see it because I don't have TV.
Shorter than we thought, but very informative, and it's all right there. I can shut this off, so I won't be.